Good evening, and welcome to our happy hour with some Nebraska restaurants. Um, uh, for those of you who know me, hi. For those of you who may not know me, I'm Tim Trudell, and along with my wife Lisa, we we have the Walking Tourists travel blog. We started that in 2011, and if you had told me that 9 years after starting it, that we would have three books published, and be doing okay with the blog and some other activities, and then hosting tonight's Facebook Live. I, I probably have called you a liar back then, but anyway, we are excited for tonight's guests, and just like I said, we've done three books with Reedy Press out of St. Louis, and some of y'all may remember the first one we did, released a couple of years ago, 100 Things to Do in Omaha. And then last year we came out with Unique Eats and Eateries of Omaha, and showcases the stories behind the restaurant scene in Omaha. And then just about a month ago, April 1st, we released our most recent book, 100 Things to Do in Nebraska Before You Die, book of bucket list attractions, restaurants, places to go, people to see, things to try, and hopefully, actually more than 100 fun things to do. So with that, let's introduce our guests. Our first guest is comes from a restaurant known for its annual Testicle Festival. Round the Bend Steakhouse in Ashland is situated for a perfect night out. Uh, it's located about midway between Omaha and Lincoln near Ashland. And Round the Bend is home to great steaks, burgers, pork tenderloins, amazing chicken fried steak, among the other great menu items. TJ and Tiffany Olson, they took over the business from his parents in 2012. And they've continued to grow that business into a very successful restaurant and bar. So with that, let's welcome TJ. Good evening, TJ.
Good evening, Tim. Thanks for having me, sir.
Oh, well, thank you for joining us. And just to kind of kick things off with you, what do you have planned this weekend for you and your family?
Work, and a little more work. So we're hoping to be real busy with what we've got going on. We've got dine-in going on right now. We're incredibly blessed to have the ballroom, that event area where we have the Testicle Festival.
Mm-hmm.
So we're able to operate at full capacity because fire marshal number back there is 600, so I can have 300 people there.
Oh, so awesome!
We're operating. Thank God we're operating at full capacity right now, and doing curbside pickup and doing delivery. So it's all hands on deck right now.
That's good. Good news. So our second guest just happens to be a former server who actually took over the restaurant. Rich Anderson once worked as a server at Trini's before eventually buying it in 2010. In addition to Trini's, he owns and runs the Nook in the old market in Omaha, and located in the historic passageway. Trini's is actually one of our favorite date night spots, and Lisa just happens to be a huge fan of their fish taco. So along with the other great things they serve, so let's welcome Rich into the chat. Good evening, Rich.
Hey, Tim, how are you?
Good. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good, thanks. We finished curbside tonight, so
another successful evening.
Yeah, it was a good night. The weather helped a little bit down here in the market, so that's a good thing.
Always good. So, what are your plans for the weekend, for the holiday?
Well, I am doing curbside on Sunday. I just started curbside, so I'm still a little slow at the punch here. So curbside's only 3 times for me. So
okay. Well, I'm sure we will probably be down there for that. So
yeah, good.
Well, thank you again for joining us.
Thank you.
And our next guests happen to be from our favorite coffee shop in Fremont. Glen and Nancy Elliott, they own the Milady Coffeehouse, and they happen to be the featured coffee house in 100 Things to Do in Nebraska. One of the things with that book is we do feature a specific location, and then we have a list of coffee houses, in this case, around the state. So we're excited to have them join us. And Milady, It's located in the old May Brothers building, and it's got a really historical significance to it. And it's also located near the city's acclaimed antique shopping area. So they're in a perfect spot to come in and have a coffee and maybe a treat. And they've got a delicious breakfast and lunch menu, which I can personally testify to. So would like to welcome the Elliott's into the show.
Hello.
How are you guys
Hi.
this evening?
Hi, guys.
Hey, we're doing great. Thank you.
Good. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. And I actually got turned on to Milady by one of my sisters who used to live in Fremont. She lives in Iowa now, and she kept telling me you have to try out this place in Fremont, the Milady Coffeehouse. You got to try it out. You got to try it out. So I did, and I've actually, when I'm working on projects, I will actually come out there and for the sole purpose of working out of your coffee house, and so I can have the coffee. And I love your breakfast burritos. They're the best. So
They're one of our favorites.
So what are your guys' plans for this weekend?
Well, our Saturday crowd is starting to come around. I mean, it's been a little slow here lately, but now that we're open up for dining in the venue, it's starting to build back up. We definitely miss our customers, and it's good to see them coming back into the space.
Oh, that's great news. That is great news. And we actually going to be out in Fremont this weekend, so we're planning to stop by and grab a coffee. So
all right,
looking forward to it.
Yeah.
All right, and then our next guests, last but not least, with 2 locations, Ted and Wally's, they've developed a following that people are more than willing to stand in line outside just for a scoop of their ice cream. And they make like 3,000 flavors, so it's just mind blowing that they come up with this, and it's great. They make it in a century-old ice cream maker. So they again, their 2 siblings, Jeanne and Joe, they worked for Ted and Wally's before owning Ted and Wally's. So welcome aboard, Jeanne and Joe. We appreciate your guys' time this evening.
Thank you.
Nice. There we go.
So what are your guys' plans for the weekend?
I'll probably be watching the numbers. It's historically a really busy weekend for us, kind of the opening of summer.
Yeah.
So right now we're kind of dialed back. So really kind of trying to speculate on what Monday is going to do by watching, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We're staffed correctly for the flow. And then Monday, looking at doing a little family time, a little cooking out, doing some brats, try to relax and enjoy some time.
Good. Well, welcome aboard, guys. We appreciate everybody's time. And just a little side note, Lisa usually is in front of the camera, but she didn't trust me to do the production work. So actually, the truth is she's doing the production work because she hasn't been able to get to the salon and get those grays covered. So she's not real thrilled with the way her hair looks. And, that's how it goes. I'm kidding. She actually is doing a great job back there. And she was doing much better than I would be doing. So I appreciate that. And so let's get the show on the road. Again, appreciate everyone joining us. And what I'll do is I thought we would start with a series of questions, and then we can open it up to a Q&A with the viewers. And if you guys don't mind answering a few questions from our beloved viewers. And so anyway, initially, first, what was your initial reaction when the governor's task force announced the restaurant restrictions? And maybe we can start with TJ on this one.
Yeah, so I'm sure like everybody else, it was mixed emotions. Like you want to do your part, you want to help as much as you can, but to be completely honest, it was frustration. I remember getting the list, and I went through the list, and I made every reason as to why this wouldn't work and this one won't work, and there's no way we can do this, and why are we doing this? And it just didn't make any sense to me. So a lot of frustration, but we got together, got a team of people that helped do this with my wife and I. We got together, put our heads together and said, what do we got to do to make this work? And we were talking before we got started here, and this has really pushed us into some uncomfortable places that we've thought about going, but we're like, this is working. We don't need to. Curbside being one of them, and delivery being another. So we found a way to make it work. And Tiffany and I, my wife Tiffany and I, we are incredibly blessed to have the team we have. So it's not just on us to come up with the ideas and make them work. There's 5 or 6 of us that get together in a room and knock stuff out. So when it first came out, I would say frustration was the overwhelming one.
Well, thank you. And yeah, I mean, I'm sure it was very challenging because, out of the blue, what do you guys do? Rich, how about you guys? How did you, what was your initial thoughts about this with regards to Trini's?
Well, I actually closed early. I closed on the 15th before they made you close.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at that time when I closed, I said to my staff, "Well, let's give it 4 weeks and we'll see you later." But and then I waited 6 weeks before I even started curbside. So I've proceeded with caution, a little bit more. So, and right now I'm only doing curbside 3 nights a week. So for me, I still think the same way. It's just like, what's going on?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, we've done your curbside, and you guys have done an amazing job. So we appreciate that. The opportunity to have your food is, I gotta take it any chance I can get it. So
thank you very much.
You bet. How about you guys out in Fremont, Glen and Nancy? What was your initial reaction when the news came out with the task force restrictions?
Well, it kind of set us back a little bit. We didn't expect it. I mean, I guess we did expect it. It was just some of those things that, as a good entrepreneur, you got to pivot and figure out what's going to work and what's not. We didn't realize that our point of sale already had built-in ability to do online sales and the delivery, and so we took about a week or so to get that ironed out, and then started doing curbside sales and delivery, and so that kind of kept us going during this time, and actually started building a following up. People in Fremont started liking the ability to get Milady coffee delivered to their house. So, it's actually been a good thing.
Well, I couldn't complain about that for that case, but that's great that you guys were able to pivot that way. How about you guys with Ted and Wally's?
Yeah, we kind of got ready. As things, as press conferences would happen, you'd see the numbers start to slip. So we kind of started watching what was happening in other countries and other cities, other states, and started implementing those things before our local governments were implementing them. So when those things came out, we were already kind of in the process of transitioning, which worked well for us.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. So next question is, initially during your if you want to call it downtime during the quarantine or the self-isolating period, the shutdown period. So how did you spend your time as far as the restaurant goes, or even your personally? How did you guys go about that? And maybe this time we can start with Rich.
Well, in the restaurant business, you know how many hours it takes, I think, to work. So, I mean, when you gear up to work as many hours as you do owning a restaurant, I think at first I thought, how in the world do people do this? I literally, I did nothing for 6 weeks, and when I finally started to do something, it was just out of pure, oh my God, I got to do something. So that's what I did. I mean, I just kind of walked around my house. I live in the country, so I had a little bit better scenery. But, so being in the restaurant business and actually loving what you do, and then not to be able to do it for that long, that was the hard part.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't imagine that. So okay, and then how about you guys, Glen and Nancy? How about what did you guys initially do?
Well, we typically use springtime as a good time to clean, and so we kind of ramped up the cleaning to the point where we couldn't clean anymore. But we also use that opportunity to, because we never really closed. We always did curbside.
Right.
But we saw a need in the community that they had stopped serving lunches at the school. And so we started offering a free bag lunch. And that actually became pretty popular. And it kind of gave us some mission. There were people donating to it. And so we probably went through 400, 500, 600 lunches throughout that period, where we would have families come in and simply just ask for a bag lunch, and we were glad to provide it. So we were just trying to do our part and try to stay busy, and so it really worked out good.
Yeah, that was fantastic. I know some people who took advantage of that they appreciated that. So that was a wonderful gesture on your guys' part. How about you guys with Ted and Wally's, Jeanne and Joe?
How would you end up doing?
Sorry, I just missed a little bit. My son was. I have to do some damage control.
So what I was asking was during the initial shutdown time, how did you spend your time, either with work or at home? And it kind of sounds like at home that you kind of had to deal with the kids.
Yeah, I've got the kids. Yeah, no, I think it's work. It's shifted so much, but I'm like far out introvert anyway, so really not much has changed for me.
Yeah, that's
stuff like reading and going on walks. Yeah.
Our youngest daughter is very much an introvert, and she was like, "Welcome to my world, folks." So she was like, "This is nothing for me." So how about you, TJ? What was your guys' initial reaction to the how did you initially spend your time?
Yeah, so the first one, had those meetings with the people around. We actually were already starting with some updating, just doing a little housework, redoing some patching of the drywall, redoing just some of that maintenance stuff. And then we ended up being closed and doing curbside and delivery only. So we tore into a few more projects and went a little further. Really did some good things there. We dove into this Facebook thing. We started a little Facebook montage of presidential releases, and I acted as the president, and my executive chef Curtis Norton acted as the Secretary of State, and that's how we were getting to people and letting them know what was going on with us. But we were here all day, every day. We were just fighting, getting scrappy, finding ways to make it work. The curbside and delivery thing, that was 180 from our business plan. We don't do that. So we had to learn that on the fly. And then we had a guy, Brian Whitehead from BW's Pub and Grill in Ashland. We didn't have the equipment to do curbside and delivery, the proper hardware. And he called me up and said, "Hey man, I've got that. I'll give it to you. Go for it." So he got us up and running like a week before we could have been up. So we've got just a hell of a community out here of people that are just for each other. And we're really, really thankful for that.
Yeah, that's great. I loved I got a kick out of those briefings. Those are awesome. They need to carry that nationally. Those are hilarious. Those are great. So you guys have all talked about doing curbside. So like with Rich, taking 6 weeks before they decided to do that with trainees. So how quickly did you guys decide? How about you others? How quickly did you decide, and what was the thought process going into doing curbside? As far as did you have to decide to have a limited menu? Did you just offer up your menu? How did you guys, what was the thought process in going with curbside? And maybe we start with TJ on this one again.
Yes, so we hit the ground with that. As far as first step was limit the menu. What do we do and do well? What's gonna curbside and carry and delivery well? It's kind of tough. Steak travels pretty well, but French fries and fried appetizers and stuff don't. So we went through, limited our menu down. Went through the micro system and said, what are the popular items? Limited it down. We got the hardware, got it going, and then just just listen to the people. What are they wanting? What are they needing? Trying to figure it out. Like I said, it was 180 on our business model, and we just had to learn on the fly. So that's what we were doing, learn on the fly, taking info from others that had been doing it a little longer, because we were kind of holdouts. I'm kind of I was the one in the beginning, like, oh, this is going to be over in a few weeks. We'll be fine. We'll wait.
Yeah.
We'll wait. And then the next thing you know, we can't wait no longer. Let's go. So
Right. Okay. Rich, going to you, I know that, you talked about, it took you 6 weeks before you decided to do this. So what went into your choice on the menus? What, on what to offer?
Well, again, I agree. I think making sure you're serving a product that people want to eat by the time they get it home.
Right.
So, I mean, that was the big thing, is what's going to travel well and what's going to taste fresh and taste like they would get it in the dining room. So I really only started out with a handful of items. A lot of my grilled items. The hard part was trying to figure out, doing 100% to go was making sure you had the right containers so things would, stay fresh and be hot by the time people got them home. So now I've added a few items, after you do it I've done it for 3 weeks now, or 3 weeks now. So it's getting a little easier. And so I'm adding a few items as I go.
Okay. All right. Glen and Nancy, how about you guys? Was there anything involved in when you decided to go with curbside? Was there anything that you had to adapt to menu wise or anything like that?
Go ahead.
Our menu really didn't change that much. It was pretty consistent all the way through it. And we don't really have designated parking outside of our building because we're in a downtown area. So a lot of times, curbside isn't ideal for us. We did a lot of to-go and carry-out orders.
Okay.
But Glen worked from the very beginning to get the software going for the delivery system. And you can probably talk a little bit more about that than I can.
Yeah, like I said earlier, the point of sale that we were using had the ability in it. We just hadn't turned it on. So we had to turn it on, get it configured, and get it up and running, and start doing it. And that was just a whole new process for us. Like you said, it was never in our business plan to do it, but you got to pivot and figure out what's working at the time. So yeah, it was, it's been a successful launch, and I think it's probably going to be a part of Milady from now on.
Oh, excellent. How about you guys with Ted and Wally's? I know ice cream is ice cream, but it's not necessarily ice cream when it comes to you guys. You guys have, to me, you guys, your flavors are art creations. So, did you guys go with a limited menu, or how did you guys go about deciding how you guys were going to offer up, your products?
So everything that we have is already packaged to go. We had a big long line, so we kind of hand it to you and send you out the door. So everything's already in disposable containers. So we didn't have an issue there making that transition. We did add call-in to go, but we limited that to just pint, quart, and half gallons. Just that way, we aren't sitting there holding the cone waiting for you to drive up.
Yeah,
we could put it in a package, freeze it. And then we grew that into delivery using our own employees and I was running routes at the beginning to kind of get the feel of it. How long will ice cream last if we're driving all the way out to Gretna? And it worked out. Now we have a great system going. And then being old gas stations, we have great parking in front. We have the old the parking lot in front, so people are able to pull in, pick it up. They can either come in or we put it outside, for them. So it's good. It worked out well.
Okay, that's great. So I know you guys, a couple of you guys have touched on this a little bit, but how has the community supported you? With during this time, because we've seen a lot of you've seen a lot of stories about communities reaching out to other community members reaching out and helping other businesses and that. So what's the community support been like for you guys? TJ?
Yeah, ours has been outstanding with those silly little posts we did on Facebook in the beginning. We coined a phrase, RTB Nation. RTB Nation, the RTB Nation support we even tapped into the RTB stimulus package, which was, we didn't need. Well, we ended up using the PPP money, but we didn't need it as bad as we thought we were going to, because the RTB Nation stepped up with the RTB stimulus package. We've got, really, really blue collar people around us, hard working in the field, at work every day. We tell our staff every time people come in here, they're spending their hard earned money. They may have one place to go out tonight, and this is the place they chose. So make it special. And I think our customer base really, they know that we think that way. We want it to be a great experience. We all work hard for our money. When you choose a place to spend it, you want to get treated well there. And we just carried that through, even to curbside and delivery. It's got to be perfect. There was a few times in the beginning we screwed up big. I mean, I'd even say, hey, that's my neighbor's order. Make sure that's perfect, or I'm going to hear about it. My
right.
20 minutes later, hey, man, you forgot my kid's mac and cheese. All right, I'll send somebody there with it. So,
nice.
Being there, everybody was so gracious. I mean, hey, you screwed this up. Oh, let me send you a gift card to make it right. Nope, don't worry about it. We know this is hard right now. Everybody's struggling. Just hit me with a beer next time we're in there or whatever. So, great people around us. We're so blessed to have them.
Yep. All right. So, the RTB Nation, I see T-shirts and bumper stickers with that in your future, right?
We did a load of T-shirts, and the T-shirts were awesome. We got to do a give back to another local business, 402 Inc. out of Lincoln, design our Testicle Festival shirts. So he designed this shirt, did an online order. He kept a portion of the money, and then Tiff and I turned around and donated our portion that we got from it back to him, because he took care of all the colleges and universities, tons of colleges and universities, with all their rush shirts and stuff like that. And all that was gone, like zero. So it was just a little bit to help, pay his staff a little bit. And it was a way we could give back. We were so blessed by our customer base. We wanted to give back to him. So our customer base was helping another business. It was just awesome to see.
Yep. All right. Well, thanks. How about you, Rich? Because again, being in the old market, how has the community? What's the community support been like for you since you started doing the curbside?
Oh, it's been really great. Trini's been around 44 years, and I started as a waiter 35 years ago here. And we still see some of the same customers that I waited on when I was in my 20s. So. In the old market itself, lots of people that live down here now come to dinner. So the support has been amazing, which is really nice.
Yep. All right, that's great. How about you guys in Fremont with Milady? How's the community support been there for you?
I tell you what, you can't get more community centric than a coffee shop, and so our community really rallied around us. Our regulars continue to come in and get their orders and take it with them. There's just been a lot of support. People miss being in here. It's a great space, and we miss them. And so when we was it a week ago Monday, we turned it on and allowed customers to come in. It was so good. One of my baristas said that we had our first rush in 2 months, and the baristas were crying that it felt so good to get back to that. So you definitely feel the love here in Fremont.
Yeah,
I would say too that the tips were a little bit better for the baristas during that time too.
I know that. That's one thing we've tried to do is we tried to tip well and above what we normally would, because times are tough for everybody. So any little thing helps helps people, and I know the baristas have got to appreciate that. So and
definitely.
And how many times do employees look forward to a rush? So how about Joe or Jeannie? How about you guys? How has the community stepped up for you guys in both the old market and for Dundee?
That worked out.
I think it's with even all the takeout and doing the deliveries, and we've had it's been really noticeable. And like I said, too, like a lot of the regular, a lot of them have even written us messages, things like that, just really supportive. So we really appreciate that.
That's great. Good. That's good that the community support has been right across the line for everybody, because you hear about, it just seems like a lot of certain restaurants are getting a lot of love, but it's great that it's actually across the board for everyone. So that's great to see and hear. So a couple more questions for you guys before we open it up to the viewers. So my next question is, with the restrictions being lifted somewhat for in-house dining, how are you managing this? At your level. And TJ, you kind of touched on this earlier with your ballroom, but maybe you can elaborate a little bit more.
100 seats.
Yeah, so we are incredibly fortunate to have the ballroom, where it's a wedding reception facility. Is its mainstay there. It's where we do the Testicle Festival. It's just shy of 10,000 square feet of pretty much clear span building, except for a bar and a couple little storage rooms. And once they said, hey, you can do 50% of your occupancy or whatever it was, 50% occupancy. We went to the ballroom. 600 is my number back there, so I can do 300 in that room. My dining room seats 180 plus, so we got to move our dining room right into that room and operate there. So again, incredibly blessed to have that area. And it didn't take long. Monday we started with that. For us, it was 2 weeks ago. Little by little, people came in, and I was on Facebook again, showing them how big it was. And there's 10 feet between tables. So people eased into it, but as soon as it caught and people started, that word of mouth is the best advertisement.
Right.
Having those people say, man, you got to get out to around the bend. You can actually eat 10 feet away from anybody else. They're following the rules. We're sanitizing menus, sanitizing the caddies down after every use, sanitize every chair down. Just taking all the necessary steps because we've got to get back at regular business. I mean, we've got an overhead that didn't change because of the coronavirus. My overhead to stay open is the same. I've got to hit that number. And once we got back to normal, we got that open. We got to bring every single staff member back that was able to come back. Some of them worked full time in healthcare industry, didn't want to have to be coming back and forth. So but everybody came back, and we're 100% staff for the most part, back to normal. So it's been great.
Okay, that's good. That's good news. I know your situation is a little bit different, Rich, with Trini's. So could you maybe share what went into your decision process regarding in-house dining?
Well, I'm still not doing in-house dining. My capacity is 67 people, and you've been down here for dinner, so you know how small my dining room is.
Right.
So even 6 feet away gets me at 5 tables.
Right.
So curbside, I think since I started curbside late, I'll continue to do curbside until I get way more comfortable knowing that the situation's different. So so I'm okay with curbside for right now.
Okay. How about with Ted and Wally's, Jeannie or Joe? How because I know how the configuration in both of your locations. How has that played? What role has that played in any of your decision making as far as dining in?
Yeah, with us, we've got our front door, then we have a side door. So there's actually a flow where people can come in and leave without crossing paths. Then we did the yellow lines to space out 6 feet. We were doing the 10-man rule. That included employees. Now that we've changed to the capacity of the room, we've said 10 people in the dining area and not including the employees anymore. And then everything, all our menu items were available, but they're all walk in, carry out. So we've kind of decided not to do our seating quite yet because we don't do table service. So we don't have that opportunity to be out there wiping the table. Right. We're more concerned with trying to get the line to go as fast as it can.
Right.
We don't have people bulking up in the entryway or even outside. So our mission right now is just to kind of get service as fast as possible so you can come in and leave and enjoy the old market and enjoy Benson. Get up and we have outdoor seating as well, so you can sit out there and watch the road go by.
All right. How about you guys with Milady? So I know the configuration seems like it would work for you guys, and I know you guys opened up last week. So how has that worked out for you?
The spacing really was never an issue for us. We have 5,000 cozy square feet in our coffee shop. So, and the nature of a coffee shop is pretty much you want to be spaced out so you can't hear conversations from the people next door.
Right.
So we already had what we call living rooms where there's
Mhm.
just 6 soft seats together. That limits the group right there. And then we have a seating for about 100 people, but it's spread out pretty well.
Mhm.
And it's never has been an issue. You're not packed in there. It's nice and comfortable and
Right.
airy. So
Plenty of
That's
room.
great. Yep, that's great news. I mean, again, I love your coffee house, so it's one of my favorites. So, last question for me before we open it up, to the viewers. So where do you guys see the restaurant? What do you see? How do you see the restaurant scene looking in 6 months? At the end of the year, what would your anticipation be on where we're at by the end of the year? How about you, TJ?
I was hoping I'd go last on that one. I have no clue. My optimist in me wants to say, 4th of July, we're back to kind of normal. Everybody, for the most part, most restrictions are lifted. I don't know why, other than the fact that it's Independence Day.
Right.
July 4th, but seems to be another arbitrary date that we throw out there. They've thrown these other dates out. So I'm shooting for May 4th or July 4th.
All right.
To what we know is normal. I think one thing that I know I'm going to probably have to do, my dining room is pretty tight. I get a lot of big groups in here. I don't know, but we're probably going to have to look at that just for people for the next 12 to 18 months. It's going to kind of be in their head like, man, I don't want to be that close to the table next to me.
Right.
So I think we're going to have to look at that possibly. Maybe I don't really know. Sanitation is going to be a big one. People are going to want to see more of that. That's going to take more dollars on our end to do.
Right.
To get the correct sanitation, wipes, sprays, rags, whatever that may be. I think we get back to normal from what we thought was normal 18 months from now. But end of the year, I think we still have a lot of lingering concerns at the end of this, just because everybody's different. I mean, just in this little group here, some of us are trying to pack as many people in as we can, and some are like, I'm gonna stick with curbside because I'm comfortable with that, and that's what I do, and that's what we're doing, and it's working. So, a long answer, but I don't know.
Oh, I understand. I mean, that is the unknown out there. So how about you, Rich? Any thoughts on that? On where do you see it in 6 months, or where would you like to see it in 6 months?
I'm with TJ on this one. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But I get asked that question all the time.
Oh yeah.
And I ask myself that question every night. When will this be over?
Right.
So I wish I knew.
Yeah. So how about you guys, Glen and Nancy? Any thoughts on that?
I'm typically a pretty optimistic person. And so, I'd love to see things back by June, July. But I think realistically, I think what a lot of the other ones are saying, they have no idea. Yeah. And I think we're probably looking at 9 months to a year before, maybe even longer than that, before things get really back to what we had before.
Right.
It's just going to cause a lot of change, and you just have to pivot and figure out what it's going to take. So I think we're going to be into the fall and Christmas, and then who knows what will happen then. So it's a big unknown for a lot of us.
Okay, Jeanne or Joe, do you guys want to add anything to that? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, right now we're just taking it, day at a time.
Yeah.
The good thing is that we'll continue doing delivery and probably the call in pint quart half gallons. That has really turned into an interesting facet to our business. So we'll keep that going. But yeah, as far as how long does this go? I don't think anybody really knows. It's just it's definitely an unknown. But I'm glad that we've been able to adapt and change to survive in the early setting. So.
Right. Yep. Oh yeah, definitely. And you guys, I know you guys, this is the last thing any of you guys ever planned to have to deal with in, the middle of 2020. So those are the questions I have. So we'd like to open it up to anybody viewing who would like to ask a question. You guys just go ahead and, just type in your question and we'll ask them as we go. Jesse from the Chamber of Commerce. Good evening, Jesse. Thank you for joining us. He's asking, are you planning on continuing your new services along with the original business model after we get back to the new normal? I think y'all kind of touched on that. At least some of you did with opening up the in-house dining in that or dining in. But anyone want to comment on that?
I think one thing that we started to do different was retail meat sales. We started doing some things. We did a couple of what we call the mega meat bundles. X amount of steak and $99 is what you get. There again, if anybody wants to laugh, you can go back and look at my ridiculousness on Facebook of how I tried to sell those. It channeled my inner TV salesman. So
and there you go.
We had fun with those. We're still doing live. We're still doing meat sales on Saturdays from 11 to 4. I don't know if we're going to be able to do that this week because we're getting really cranked down on where beef is available and what we can spend on it. I mean, my ribeye price has doubled since the beginning of this, and I don't want to have to raise my menu prices if I don't have to. So we're ratcheting back on that, but that's something we're definitely going to continue once we do get back to the new normal is retail sales of raw meat for people to come in and get.
Yeah, that was one question I thought about asking you guys earlier was like with have you got, with the increased costs, especially this probably would hit TJ and Rich a little more with their beef prices and that.
Yeah.
But so have you guys, because I know TJ, you said you don't want to pass any of those costs on. I've seen some restaurants explain why they've had to do what they've had to do, and they seem to get a lot of support from people. So, Rich, have you had to do this, or have you thought about it, or have you not really been that impacted yet?
Well, no, it's a big impact, but probably not near as much as TJ with the price points that he has. But ground beef prices have tripled almost. So, and I raised my prices a tad bit right after that first shock factor. Yeah. How much ground beef was, but not a ton. I'm trying to keep them down as much as possible. So that's all you can do.
Exactly. So along the lines of you guys' delivery, for those of you who are delivering, because I know TJ, you said you use your own people to deliver. Has anybody else considered using any of the delivery services, or you guys deliver on your own? Anybody else doing any delivery?
I'm looking at doing delivery, but if I did it, I would have one of my employees, like TJ said.
Yeah.
I'm still not up on that DoorDash stuff yet. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so Sarah wants to know if you guys have experienced any shortages with any of your products.
What?
I had a rough time getting avocados, so that's about it for me.
Oh, okay. Have you been able to resolve that?
Yeah, I have a little bit. I have to order them, but when you're used to going through cases and cases of product, and I'm sure TJ, when you're used to serving many people throughout the course of a week, this is just a whole different ballgame. Trying to keep things fresh and trying to figure out how much you need to order. And like my avocados normally going through 10 cases a week, I order them to ripen them myself, and now it's like, oh shoot, I don't have a ripe case. So
yep. Okay. Does anybody else have any questions that you guys like to ask? Irene, you're asking if about Irene says you guys are all awesome, and she appreciates you guys joining us. And she's asking if your guys' stories are in the books. And Irene, we're going to actually touch on that in a little while. But yes, Around the Bend, Trini's, and Ted and Wally's are in our book, Unique Eats and Eateries of Omaha. And we actually go in behind the scenes look at the restaurants, so you can get some really good information from the restaurateurs themselves in that book. And then Ted and Wally's, Trini's, again, they're included in 100 Things to Do in Omaha. And Milady is the featured coffee house in our new book, 100 Things to Do in Nebraska. So and then we have a list of some fantastic coffee houses around the state. So we try to, like, when we feature a business, we try to make sure we've got a list of other similar businesses around the state. So so they are, and Irene will go over that before we let you go with where you can get those books from. So any other questions out there? I'm not. Roxy likes your Independence Day from the coronavirus, TJ.
Yeah, maybe we can lobby Governor Ricketts with that one.
There you go. There you go.
Seem to be on the front of the curve for some of this stuff anyway. So
yeah. And Jesse, he just wants to reiterate and say thank you for everything you guys do for the communities. So that's fantastic. So well, if no other questions, we'll let everyone go. Oh, we got one more question from Kathy. This is for Ted and Wally's. What fun flavors will you be offering this weekend?
Oh gosh. It's hard to say what's going to be out. Yeah, kind of because we kind of leave it up to who's making to kind of choose. So it's always kind of a surprise even for us. Sometimes don't know.
So no squid this weekend?
No.
So Jerry would like to know from Trini's, what are your curbside days and your hours?
Right now we're just doing curbside on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Today I just extended my curbside on Tuesdays and Thursdays from noon to 7. I just started out at dinner. Sundays, well, we do the take and bake, which I do just from 2 to 4. And then in June, I will actually probably start Saturday nights as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Any other questions out there, folks? These are great people to ask questions to, because they will they'll give you the lowdown. All right. Well, I guess that does look like that's it. So as we wrap it up, thank you again for joining. We really do appreciate it. We appreciate everything you guys do to help the community. And you guys are doing your part by providing us food and ice cream and great coffee and everything else. So I can't say enough. I do appreciate everything you guys do. And tomorrow when I see my doctor and she tells me, you can't eat that much, and be like, well, you tell these guys. So again, thank you guys very much. And we do appreciate it. And we really do appreciate the community support for you guys too. And then for you guys who are interested in purchasing any copy of our books, to learn more about the food and drink in Omaha with the unique eats and eateries of Omaha, or to learn about the great attractions in both Omaha and across the state, the 100 things to do in Omaha before you die and 100 things to do in Nebraska before you die, you can get them at thewalkingtourist.com/books. And Lisa will be adding that into the comment section of the feed here. And if you do want to order the book, just mention in your order that you heard about the books on the Facebook on the Happy Hour show. We'll ship it to you for free. And if you really want, we'll even sign it for you. So again, we appreciate everybody's time tonight, and we know how important and how precious that off time is for you guys. So again, thank you very much. We hope you guys have a safe and wonderful weekend. And again, with this being Memorial Day weekend, let's take some time to say thanks and a little observance for the men and women who have sacrificed their lives for this country, for the freedoms and privileges that we all enjoy. We couldn't have done it without them. And and also for the active duty military and my fellow veterans. Thank you for your service to the country, and let's all just be safe and have a good and fun weekend. And I thank you guys again for joining us.
yeah, thanks, Glen. Thanks, Lisa. Appreciate it.
Thank you,
All right,
guys.
good night, everybody.
Thanks.
Good night.
And
Good
for
night.
everybody joining
you.
us, thank you for viewing. And everybody be safe and have fun.
Bye now.
Bye bye.
Night, Ted.